In 1585, Sir Walter Raleigh led a group to Roanoke, off the coast of present-day North Carolina. They sought a new life but faced a wild, untamed land. Native American tribes like the Croatoan had complex relationships with the newcomers. Some saw opportunities for trade, while others were wary of European greed. The early days were a delicate dance of curiosity, suspicion, and potential conflict. The settlers established a foothold, but the challenges were immense. Harsh weather and scarce resources tested their resolve. Governor John White emerged as a leader, guiding the colony through its early trials. In 1587, White returned to England for supplies, leaving behind a fragile community. His return was delayed by the war with Spain, leaving the colony isolated. When White finally returned in 1590, he found the settlement deserted. The journey across the Atlantic, it was long and arduous, but nothing could dampen John White's anticipation. As the ship finally approached the familiar coastline of Roanoke Island, a knot of anxiety tightened in his chest. He scanned the shore, his eyes searching for any sign of the colony, for any indication of life. But something was wrong. The air, it hung heavy and still, broken only by the cries of gulls and the sound of waves crashing against the shore. There were no welcoming bonfires, no figures waving from the beach, no sounds of human activity. An eerie silence had descended upon Roanoke, a silence that spoke volumes to John White's anxious heart. He went ashore with a small party of men, their footsteps echoing in the unnerving quiet. The settlement, it was deserted, the houses abandoned, their wooden frames bleached by the sun and weathered by the elements. Gardens, once carefully tended, lay overgrown with weeds. There were no signs of a struggle, no evidence of violence or forced removal. It was as if the colonists had simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a handful of their belongings and a profound sense of mystery. White searched frantically for any sign of his family, for any indication of what had become of the colonists. His heart pounded in his chest, each unanswered question amplifying the sense of dread that settled over him like a shroud. Had they been attacked? Had they succumbed to disease or famine? Had they simply given up and left Roanoke in search of a better life elsewhere? Amidst the despair and confusion, a single clue emerged, a whisper in the wind that hinted at the fate of the lost colonists. Carved into a post of the fence that surrounded the abandoned settlement, White discovered a single word: Croatoan. There was no cross carved above it, a sign the colonists had agreed upon to signal distress. This single word, it was the only message, the only clue to the colonists' whereabouts. Now, White knew that the word Croatoan referred to a nearby island, home to a Native American tribe who had at times been both allies and rivals to the Roanoke colonists. Had the colonists sought refuge with the Croatoan people? Had they been taken there by force, or had they gone willingly? The mystery deepened when White discovered another clue, the letters CRO carved into a tree. This too seemed to point towards the Croatoan, but it offered no further explanation, no further insight into the colonists' fate. The carved letters, they stood out against the rough bark of the tree, stark and silent witnesses to a mystery that would captivate and confound generations to come. White, he desperately wanted to search for the colonists on Croatoan Island, but a series of storms prevented him from doing so. His ship, battered and low on supplies, was deemed unfit for further exploration. With a heavy heart and a sense of unfinished business, White was forced to abandon his search and return to England, leaving the mystery of Roanoke unsolved, a haunting enigma that would echo through the centuries. Now, the disappearance of the Roanoke colonists, it's a mystery that spawned more theories than you could shake a stick at. Some folks, they reckon the colonists, they went native, see? They imagine them integrating with the Croatoan tribe, adopting their customs and way of life. After all, there had been moments of cooperation and even friendship between the two groups in the past. This theory, it's bolstered by the fact that John White, he'd instructed the colonists to carve a Maltese cross on a tree if they were ever in danger. When he returned to find the word Croatoan without the cross, He took it as a sign that they'd gone to the island willingly, seeking help and shelter. Some historians even point to later reports of European captives living among Native American tribes, their descendants bearing the telltale signs of their mixed heritage. Another theory suggests that the colonists, they didn't disappear at all, not in the truest sense. They might have simply moved, relocating to a different part of the mainland, perhaps further inland or along the coast. Life on Roanoke, it was a constant struggle against the elements, against hunger and disease. It wouldn't be surprising if the colonists, faced with these hardships, decided to seek their fortune elsewhere, to start anew in a more hospitable location. This theory, it's supported by the discovery of European objects, things like pottery shards and tools, in areas where Native American tribes associated with the Croatoan were known to have lived. While these artifacts don't offer conclusive proof, they do suggest that the Roanoke colonists, or at least some of them, might have survived and even thrived in their new surroundings, their English identities gradually fading into the tapestry of the New World. But not all the theories about Roanoke's fate are as hopeful, love. Some whisper of darker possibilities, of conflict and tragedy. Remember, relations between the colonists and the Native Americans, they were strained at best. Some historians believe that the colonists, they might have fallen victim to an attack by a hostile tribe, perhaps one resentful of their presence, their demands for land and resources. Imagine, if you will, the colonists, their numbers already dwindling due to disease and hunger, caught off guard by a sudden and brutal attack. Their wooden palisades, hastily erected against the threat of wild animals and the occasional skirmish, would have offered little protection against a determined enemy. The colonists, outnumbered and outmatched, would have stood little chance. Another theory proposes that the colonists, they might have succumbed to a natural disaster, a fate as swift and merciless as any human enemy. The Carolina coast, it's no stranger to hurricanes, those fearsome storms that lash the shore with wind and rain, capable of wiping out entire settlements in a matter of hours. A particularly powerful hurricane, striking at a time when the colonists were already weakened by hardship, could have easily swept them away, leaving no trace but scattered debris and the haunting silence of a vanished community. And then there's the ever-present threat of disease. Remember, the colonists, they were ill-equipped to deal with the ailments of the New World. Smallpox, measles, influenza, these diseases, they ravaged Native American populations, and the colonists, with their weakened immune systems, would have been equally vulnerable. A virulent outbreak, sweeping through the colony like wildfire, could have easily decimated their numbers, leaving too few to sustain the settlement, their hopes and dreams buried alongside their dead. The truth about Roanoke, it's likely lost to the mists of time. We're left with tantalizing clues, with whispers of possibilities that swirl around the colony's fate like the wind through the trees. Did they integrate with the Native Americans, their English identities fading into the rich tapestry of indigenous cultures? Did they relocate, seeking a new start in a more hospitable corner of the New World? Or did they meet a darker end, victims of conflict, disease, or the unforgiving power of nature? We might never know for sure. The lost colony of Roanoke, it remains one of the most enduring mysteries in American history, a tale whispered around campfires and debated in hushed tones by historians and armchair detectives alike. It's a story that captures the imagination, that speaks to the human desire to unravel the unknown, to find answers to questions that have lingered for centuries. But perhaps, in a way, the mystery of Roanoke, it's part of what makes the story so compelling. It serves as a reminder of the fragility of human ambition, of the unpredictable nature of the world, and the enduring power of the unknown. The lost colonists, they become characters in a historical drama that continues to unfold in our minds, each generation adding their own interpretations, their own theories, to the ever-evolving narrative. Roanoke, it's a story that stays with you, love, long after you've heard it. It's a reminder that even in the bright light of history, there are still shadows, still mysteries waiting to be explored. And who knows, maybe one day, some new piece of evidence, some long-forgotten diary or artifact will come to light, shedding new light on the fate of the lost colonists and finally revealing the truth behind the Enigma of Roanoke. But until then, we're left to ponder the possibilities, to imagine the lives and the fates of those who vanished into the wilds of the New World. Their story a haunting reminder of the enduring power of mystery